back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
And tonight we will be reviewing the Monster Club that was released in 1981.
Now, it's a British-made horror film. Now, I've looked at the movie several times and I love the movie. I love the film.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's a horror film.
No, I think...
A comedy horror.
I think it's a comedy horror. You know my weakness for anthology-related movies. And TV shows, obviously.
Well, this is an anthology-style movie. And they've put comedy in it. They've put a little bit of music in it. It's a fun movie. That is why we're putting it up as a podcast.
Yeah,
now, like I said, it's horror movie. It's a horror movie. Tongue-in-cheek stuff, some of the costumery, mask, special effects, make-up-y stuff. Well,
some of the masks in the Monster Club, in the club thing itself, looks like masks I probably would buy that would be about $10.
Yeah.
But then again, the other masks in this movie, that in each segment, they are perfectly well make-upped up for its time, except for the Monster Club,
some of the masks. Now, the Monster Club people in the club. Oh, by the way, if our recording is a bit weird tonight, we're using a portable recorder because our mixing desk just blew up. So we're gonna, and the power supply died anyway. So we're trying a portable job. So hopefully it'll be just as good.
Hopefully.
Now here we go. Right, my usual stuff. Produced by Milton Subotovsky, I think. Is the right pronunciation, I think. Directed by Roy Ward Baker.
According to my research, I found out this was Rob Baker's first ever Roy Baker's first ever film project he worked on.
First or last?
No. It's final.
He's last.
Theatrical film of directing by
Maybe retired. Maybe he got shot after the movie. I don't know. Anyway, written by Edward and Valerie Abraham. Now, as Sarah said, it's an anthology based on the works of a British horror author, Chetwynd-Hayes. And one of the people in the film is actually called that. He's actually doing...
he's playing the author.
The guy is playing the author who actually writes horror movies and stuff.
It's just when you look at the R.L. Stine's movies. I mean, where the movies that have Jack Black in it, who plays R.L. Stine, but at the same time we have the real one just pretending to be just an ordinary person in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what I'm going to say, this was also the final film for Milton Subotovsky, but he was also known for his work doing the better anthologies through Amicus Productions. Amicus horror movies. Anthologies were quite good, and they were not as cheesy as this one. Yeah,
this is probably one of the when you think about this anthology, I think it was the last ones that would have been so focused in the bit of giving it a bit of an English Victorian type look.
It was English, and so the things would change because Roger Corman was doing Victorian Tales of Terror stuff with Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Other guys are still doing the Victorian Tales of Terror type stuff. So when it
came close to the 80s, that all changed.
Yeah, they started to do the teenage stuff, contemporising it and stuff, and I think it lost some of the scare. I mean, they still had the jump scares and stuff, but that old gothic horror element seemed to have vanished, and and I think what replaced it wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, I don't know why some people think that removing that sort of thing equation out of the movies would make the audience crave the new movies.
There is room for Victorian horror.
Yeah, as Mike said, there's room for new themes.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be contemporised. Anyway, here we go. Now, budget and box office, I've got no idea. However, I believe from what I've seen, it was a low budget movie. But there's no reviews except for one overall remark saying it didn't fare well with the reviewers.
Go
so
figure.
I would presume back in those days, maybe because it wasn't enough horror. The comedy wasn't strong enough to make it a real comedy, so it was sitting on the wall.
Yeah.
I think. I think that's why. Reviewers are a funny bunch.
Yeah, they don't know what they like.
Now, here we go. I'll go for a few of the actors. I won't necessarily go all the names because I won't mean a damn thing to you what they're doing. Now, Vincent Price is the main guy in it. Yeah, like he's actually someone actually told me he never played a vampire.
Yeah, actually.
He plays a vampire in this one.
See, according to this, I found. Let me see. This is the only film he ever played a vampire.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched this Muppet show where Kermit the Frog interviews him, and he says, "You always play a vampire," which is not true, to be honest.
No, he's never played only in this movie.
Yeah, he plays either a madman or a baron or a lord or
mad doctor
or
just a weird guy
or just plain old weird. But he doesn't play a vampire very often.
Never played a vampire. It's strange, that is, isn't it? Anyway, Vincent, John Carradine, he plays the role of Chetwynd-Hayes, the author who actually this is all based on. Actually, I get the impression that his stories, Chetwynd-Hayes, the real guy, his stories were the source for the anthology, but they obviously they destroyed this film, destroyed the storylines in the making of the film.
Yeah.
So
another movie. I think they use some of his stories in another movie, which stars Peter Cushing, who plays a proprietor for a shop, and he sells some weird items that turn out to be possessed by some evil stuff.
That sounds good to me.
It's an interesting anthology, and I really advise you guys definitely check that one out.
Yeah, I'll mention just a couple other people in passing. Donald Pleasance makes a
Pleasant.
It's always pleasant to see Donald Pleasant. He's in one of the anthology stories. Stuart Whitman, he's also in one of them. Britt Eklund's in one of the stories. Patrick McGee and a few other people, but they're the main ones I'm going to talk about at the moment. Now, basically, the plot is firstly centered around Chetwynd-Hayes hearing stories from Vincent Price, which is called Erasmus.
They were also going to think about bringing in Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee in this movie, but they turned them down.
They didn't want to be in it because it wasn't their style of movie.
Yeah, so you can't do. What can you do?
Happens. Now, I won't say anything more about the plot because Sarah's going to take over. So it's pretty much Erasmus, which is Vincent Price. He meets up with the other guy and takes them on his club, tells him stories. And they'll take it away, Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the story begins with, what's his name again, the author?
Chetwynd-Hayes.
Yeah, he's wandering the streets and then he encounters this weak old man, Vincent Price, obviously, the vampire, and he bites Daryl
Chetwynd-Hayes on the neck.
in the neck. And
he said, "Can I help you? I'll do anything to help you." "Oh, goody, thank you." So really,
And then a few minutes later, we see the vampire stooping over and picking up his wallet and his ID cards.
And he realised who he was.
He says, "I'm a big fan of your work, and I would love to help you get you organised for your next book. A few stories."
Oh, very bold. No, so he takes him back to the club, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he takes him to this awesome club full of monsters, werewolves.
Called the Monster Club.
Full of werewolves, vampires, ghouls, any shape and form, whatever. And the masks, of course, are really, really bad. But I did think the vampires are pretty cool.
Yeah, they were fun. It was good fun. The strip scene's good, but we won't talk.
Yeah.
It's not rude. It's not rude.
Yeah, it's no gross stuff here.
But it's just the way it was done so in a interesting way, yes. You really have to see it. The words will not cover it properly. Yeah.
Then the vampire shows our author special family chart, or not family,
a genealogy chart of if you got a vampire and a werewolf and a ghoul, and then if you mix those, you get one of those, you get one of those, you get one of those, or you get one of those, and he starts telling stories about different types of.
This has only got 3 stories.
Gene bending. How's that? Gene bending? That's a good word, isn't it?
Yeah, the first story is what's the title called? I think it's called.
Is that the Shabmuck one?
Yeah, the Shabmuck one, dealing with a Shabmuck who is living isolated alone, and he wants to catalog all his
collects the goodies.
Stuff. So a woman comes. She becomes his assistant, and she and her boyfriend. There's a boyfriend in this. They want to steal his belongings in order to make some cash.
A lot of cash. Yeah, lots.
And of course, this creature, the Shamrock, he's taken by the young ladies, Beauty
and Youth,
and he suggested they get married. And when
she doesn't want to,
and I think she's both scared of him, but she feels pity for him.
Yes, she's getting to like him in a funny way, like a sympathetic way, but her boyfriend still wants to go through with screwing him over money wise.
He then. They do have an engagement party, a mask party, where he introduces her to his odd family members.
Very odd. They're all wearing masks.
Very peculiar masks.
Really peculiar masks, because they all looked a bit weird, probably, and he didn't want to let her see how weird the family was.
She then disappears off to the vault in order to grab anything.
He didn't have a vault, he had a safe.
Okay, safe, and grab anything that comes into her possession.
Lots and lots of money and little trinkets and stuff.
And he confronts her, and she says flat out how she doesn't want to marry him, and he's ugly. Yada.
So I don't care about the money.
Yeah.
Can you still love me? She says, no way in the world. No way, Jose. You know? Oh, that's a bit rude, isn't it? Yeah.
Then the Shamrock, he whistles. He doesn't bite. He doesn't.
And
this whistle.
Naughty things happen.
It shows later before this happens how the damage of Shamrock's whistle can do to one person.
He killed a cat earlier on who killed one of the birds he was feeding, and then it burned into a horrible mucky pool of cat.
She eventually does arrive back at her boyfriend's place. How, we'll never know. And he sees her face, and it's been
melted and burnt and stuff. And can you still love me?
Yeah.
And he went crazy. And he went to a nut house, didn't he?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Now we cut back to the club, and throughout the club scene, we hear about 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah, different bands, to break the monotony. And script shows.
I kind of like the songs here and there.
They're real bands. I'll mention the bands later on, but I think one of the ones I actually remembered was, the Pretty Things. I think they were a new agey, punky sort of music-y. Where are it? Yeah, the Pretty Things. I remember those ones. There's some other guys there. UB40 is supposed to be mentioned in there as well. Band called Night. And so someone called B.A. Robertson and the Viewers.
Cool.
So there's lots of other musical bits thrown in there. It's really good.
So anyway, the next story was more on a video projector where a filmmaker comes out, and he's a vampire filmmaker who wants
Actually, that's quite funny. His filmmaker comes out, and Chetwynd-Hayes says, I didn't know he's a vampire. And Vincent says, aren't they all? All the producers and directors, you're a bit rude.
Anyway, so he shows up on a projector
about his family.
His family's story.
Yeah.
It's where he, as a boy, I'd say about 10 or 9, his father and mother, they're living in a nice little house.
Mum's Britt Eklund. She was really cute back in those days. Yummy.
And dear old Daddy Dearest is none other than a vampire who likes doing night work.
Yeah, it starts off a bit of a narration, the boy saying, blah, blah, blah. Dad used to work nights, so he slept all day. Funny that, eh?
Yeah. And then we find out these 3 vampire hunters are are tracking the family.
Well, yeah, well, they work for the government. Donald Pleasance is the head one.
Yeah. They look like they're like funeral director guys.
Well, yeah, dark suits, bowler hats, but when you first see Donald Pleasance, he's dressed up as a priest or a minister or a pastor or something or other, trying to get the confidence of the child.
Yeah. And he suggests to the boy, maybe you should go down to your dad's room and wake him and play in order to.
He might play with you before he goes to work.
Yeah. So.
He's a sneaky bugger, Donald.
Yeah.
Pleasance.
So when his mum was going out to go shopping, she goes out during the day, so that's nothing really.
Well, she's an ordinary person, you see.
Yeah, I think that the vampire married a mortal, and that's how his son
and they lived
and
happily
her
ever
were.
after, sort of.
Yeah, and they somehow are able to have an ordinary life together.
Of a shy little boy who can't play with anybody.
Yes, so anyway, the boy goes downstairs. He sees his dad lying in a coffin of sorts, jumps scared, and then jumps up and runs out of the basement. And then he runs to those creepy,
Donald Pleasance,
creepy bad
alias Pickering.
They head down into the basement. The boy, terrified what's going to happen, and except when Donald Pleasance says he must witness the end.
So anyway, they open up the old violin cases they were carrying, and lo and behold, there was a stake and a nice little mallet.
Yeah, and then Donald Pleasance takes one of the very big sticks and plunges it into the vampire. And of course, the mother eventually arrives. She screams, and then dear old vampire guy, the daddy vampire, wakes up and bites into Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, bites Donald Pleasance, Pickering on the neck.
Yeah, and of course, he thinks that he should get to a doctor, but the mother laughs and says hysterically, and says, "It's too late. He bitten too deeply, and you're one of them."
Now they got to stake you.
Yes. So his.
And he grew his teeth straight away. That was so cute.
Yeah. At first he tries to get away in a funny way, but eventually his men get to him and they staked him. And it's funny, this scene, to be honest.
Yeah. And they take him out, put him in an ambulance, take him away.
Anyway.
Very nice.
Then the mother and her son, they head back into the basement, feeling a little grieved, but then they see the boy's father rise, and he says that he's good thing he had a steak-proof vest.
And tomato ketchup,
And so the family embrace, and they live happily ever after.
No Pickering to worry about.
Now they go on to the next song, and this is the one that Mike was referring to, where it deals with a little bit of funny nudity and animation, which I think was really cool.
Well, it has strip shoot. Well, I won't say too much, but this lady comes on very nice. She does a strip routine. Yeah. And I'm not going to say anything more because it's not what you think. Okay? Yeah. But it's the best strip routine I have ever seen.
It's hilarious.
Without being rude. Even kiddies could watch it if they don't mind horror movies.
Yeah. Of course, I love the bit of dialogue Vincent says in the scene. It's hilarious.
No, that might give it away.
Anyway, the final part to the genealogist tree, the picture that the author asks is a woman, a human, or a human ghoul.
This one concerns a creature who is a cross between a ghoul and a human, and they're called a human ghoul.
Yes, see, according to Vincent, this is
and they're pretty tame.
They're a pretty mixture of both human and ghoul,
And they're pretty nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so the story opens with a director who's trying to find a creepy village location
for his movie.
Yeah, and he gets more than he bargains for.
He finds the creepiest one there. And accidentally, maybe on purpose, I don't know. But he came off the motorway and he saw this crappy old broken sign on the side of a road saying Lowville. It looks like an old sign, almost ready
Yeah.
to die. The termites have eaten all up. And
And it's this very big mist or fog at the opening of it, and as you enter, it's like entering a new world.
Oh, an old world.
Or an old world. The whole place is like decked up in darkness.
Yeah,
well, not
yeah,
darkness.
well, yeah, it's
just cloud.
semi-shade, like overcast, no light getting in, not a lot. Windows are boarded up. It looks like it's almost deserted when he first gets there.
Yeah. And there he meets some of the inhabitants who are very hostile and very dangerous.
And very hungry.
Yeah. So he then tries to hide it in a room, and then one of the inhabitants is actually the human ghoul, as we said.
Yeah, she's a nice girl.
She's nice, and she gives them a soup made of rabbit, I think.
Yeah, she made it. It wasn't too bad. Also, yeah, if the ghouls actually made it, it would have been really horrible stuff. But she actually eats human type food as well, so it was quite tasty.
She offers to help him to escape these guys, and the only way to get away is the only place he could probably get away to is to a church.
Yeah, a little old abandoned church, because they can't go on hallowed ground, obviously.
Yeah, see, these guys, they get their clothing and stuff and their food from the graves.
Well, actually, she said, we get our stuff from the boxes. And then he doesn't know what that actually means initially, and then we find out that, the boxes were, they dug up the graves, and they got the clothing, and they ate the bodies in the graves.
Yeah.
But they've run out of graves in the place there.
So they lure unexpected people into their facility.
Unexpected film directors and producers.
Yeah. Anyway, he escapes into the church, and this is where he sees a skeleton there that I guess
must be the old minister.
I'm guessing he may have died of I guess starvation, maybe.
Probably starvation, maybe.
Yeah.
He's writing in his little book there, but he could have been damaged or ill or.
Yeah, I like to think he may have died of either like a food or like a water, whatever.
Probably. There's no food coming into him.
Yeah, and it's the only place that's safe from the ghouls.
Exactly.
So he written a journal, and it details the incident of how these creatures came to their small town.
Yeah, supposedly I think one ghoul was seen hanging around the tombstones, and the people there wanted to destroy it, and he, being a nice priest-type guy or a minister or a pastor, said, no, he's still one of God's creatures, let's try to humanize him and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. That didn't work. Yeah. And then soon his friends came.
Yeah. Anyway, so our director, he tries to get the girl and him to escape outside the...
And they're doing really, 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 really good, aren't they?
Yeah, they finally get outside the fog area, and one of the and some of the inhabitants inside the fog use stones and rocks.
Well, those old slings they used to, like a
David and Goliath stuff.
Goliath and Goliath, David and Goliath type slingshot. Yeah, they put it in the air, swing around, and hurl a stone, hit her in the back of the head, and that didn't help. So he runs off down the road then, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And leaves
he heads
her there.
back to the freeway, and he waves down a police car, and they said they'll be glad to help him. But they then turn around and head back towards the village. And they said something about that they're doing an escort for their elders. This is mentioned earlier where the elders are the people in charge of the little small town. And
politicians probably. No.
they arrive back to the village, and the ghouls were clawing at the window, and we see the policemen have ghoul teeth.
Turn around and got pointy teeth.
And then we flash back to the Monster Club, where the vampire finally decides that he wants to put the offer up for membership.
And the manager of the club, maitre d', says, "Oh, you can't. He's not a monster." And he says, "Well, yeah." And Finta says, "But human beings are more monstrous than we are." And he goes through our wars and the weapons we made and atomic bombs, and they're more monstrous than we are. So they made him a token member. Isn't that lovely?
So they then dance and they start playing the Monster Club song, which is a really awesome song.
Yeah, they did some good stuff here. Anyway,
and then we cut to black and the credits roll.
Yeah, roll. Anyway, now what Sarah said before, Christopher Lee was going to play Chetwynd-Hayes, a writer. He didn't want it. He didn't like the name, the title of the movie. No, don't grab it. Didn't like the title of the movie.
Oh,
Peter
he doesn't like
Cushing-
the name Monster Club.
Well, just didn't like it. Nah, it didn't sound right. And Peter Cushing probably felt the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I gotta admit, I did like the Monster Club. It looks really like a club I would love to join.
Nice body old club. Now, there was a bit when I was going through that, a couple of in-jokes. There are no in-jokes relating to the Amicus Film Production Company. Now, the character of Linton Botowski is a film producer. Okay? And his name is an anagram of the real film's producer, Milton Subotovsky.
Wow.
So they use his name and jiggle the letters around.
Ah, clever.
Now, Bustatovsky introduces a film called From Beyond the Tombstone, an allusion to From Beyond the Grave, which is on the movie.
That's where the authors, some of the stories came from.
And that was probably done as an Amicus movie, possibly. Yeah. The cast includes Patrick McGee, Britt Eklund, and Jeffrey Balden, all who have appeared in an Amicus anthology film called Asylum.
I heard that one.
Yeah, that was done in 1972. So they did lots of good groovy things. I mean, yeah, they could have made this one more serious or more comedy related. I don't know, but
yeah, this movie was actually shot in 24 days, so less than a month.
There wasn't much involved in it, really. I mean, the club was a club. They could have shot day or night. They wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah.
Had a street scene outside. The rest of it was just location shoots, I think.
Yeah, well, the street scene I think was done in actual studio, obviously, which is controlled.
Oh, they made the club up in the studio.
Yeah, but I also the street scene at the opening scene was actually a street scene.
Oh, it could have been a studio. Yeah. Anyway, I mentioned about the recording artist or whatever. Now, reception. I'll tell you something, Chetwynd-Hayes, the real guy, was disappointed with the film.
Uh-oh.
Finding the humour silly, disliking the script, and how his original stories were changed. He said only Ghoulsville, which was obviously Lowesville in the Whom story, was faithful. That was close.
Oh, so the ending was pretty much the same thing in the
that
book.
was similar to his story.
So the vampire one and the shamrock were not the same thing.
Yeah, they changed too much to the original story. And he had the pop music in it. Well, he also thought that John Carradine was too old to play him. I checked it out. He's only 13 years older. He wasn't 30 years older. Hello, get a grip. And the movie was a critical and commercial failure. So, like I said, it probably didn't make much at the box office. However, funny things, it's still available today on eBay and Amazon. You can get Blu-ray. It's been on Laserdisc. It's been on VHS. It's still being watched today.
Yeah.
Which goes to show that maybe it didn't get good to theatre because people didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, another thing about this film, it opened in theatres on Vincent Price's 7th birthday.
70th.
70th birthday.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
That's
Happy
nice.
birthday to Vinny. Happy birthday.
But I think it's nice. I mean, the gesture of putting that in, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, it is available. So watch out if you do go looking for it. There will be VHS copies out there, being an old movie. And I saw a laser disc out there. It's not a DVD, it's a laser disc.
Oh, here's something interesting about the masks I should mention.
Oh, goody.
The story came about because the masks were commissioned at a short notice from Vic Dawes, who at the time was freelancing and also working as a milk processing plant. He was not a milkman.
He would, the factory.
Meaning, in other words, that he had only such a short time of organising these masks. Meaning, he's no Tom Savini, guys.
Hey, Tom, the good stuff,
But
buddy.
I think it's not too bad. I mean, as long as you're wearing the masks and no one can...
And look, it was tongue-in-cheek sort of stuff.
It's just tongue-in-cheek, those type of masks. But the rest of the other... the segments with the short
the actual
stories,
they had good. They had makeup on, but in the club, when you had all these people there, you wouldn't have done all the people up makeup. It would have been too expensive and too time consuming.
Considering most of the people were just ordinary human beings, either playing vampires or ghouls or something.
I mean, a couple of them were okay. Like the little girl who, the hat check girl at the club, she had vampire teeth on, and she looked pretty good. She was pretty basic.
Same with Wolfgang, the
the waiter had he was dressed up like a wine steward with fangs, but all the other ones there dancing on the dance floor, they just had full head masks on, and they did look a little bit cheesy, but it was a fun. It's a fun movie, not meant to be taken as seriously as one would think. So you put up that sort of stuff, yeah. So yeah, I can't say too much about this. There's not much stuff I can find to throw into the review. So
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it's my opinion. I mean, I like that it takes place in a monster club, and the music is pretty awesome to listen to.
Some of the music's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't like weird sucking noises. No, he did it for that sort of a song. But I don't like ridiculous music thrown in for no reason. But they work in a club, and the music broke up the story. So they had a bit of music before the first story. They had a musical interlude between the first and second story. They had a musical interlude between the second and third story. And some music at the end.
I could think of a lot of other movies that did a bad choice in music scores and music, and bringing in bands to fill in give the movie a bit of more
you're trying to get the teenage appeal too. And then another point, see those bands in England, this was made in England when they released it, the teenagers who listened to music would have liked the bands, they would have known the bands in the movie, especially the pretty things, I got them in my collection.
I think
you found it, did you?
It's about, let me see, 1.7 million.
Okay. And your box office? No?
No box office.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But I will tell you that Vincent Price was the second choice for the vampire. And as well, I could say for John Carradine was the second choice for the author. So who knows who was the first choice.
But I like how to put it.
Well, actually, it could have been the what's his name?
Who? Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, he was offered one of the major roles, but I don't know which one.
Yeah, we don't know whether it's Vincent or John Carradine or one of the stories. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to say is that I've always liked Vincent Price. He handles creepy.
Yeah,
he handles drama. He handles comedy. Man, he's a good all-round family entertainer.
I certainly like his expressions from his eyes or his mouth.
Very expressive face.
Yeah, sometimes
very mobile.
I like his funny
eyebrows.
Funny eyebrows and his face, his mouth, forming different expressions. It's
I could taught some of the muscle on his face to get some mileage. Yeah. Without actually saying too much, his face is a lot.
Yeah, I like it I like it when his eyes bulge out. That's hilarious.
Yeah, what? Stare. He just is. Yeah, I love him. Yeah, I always have. He's my king of horror.
Or when he's frowning, like funny, or even looking a bit scared. That's my favorite moment. I like it when he looks scared in some movies.
Or stunned or something.
Or stunned,
like in the Pit and the Pendulum. Was it Pit and the Pendulum? Morella. One of those. Look, he was totally. I don't know. He looked really weird. He's great. He did a great job.
Yeah, I like his expressions.
My brain's gone.
I mean, I like it that he works with Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and let me see, John, what's his name?
Carradine. Yeah.
I like it that they all work together on certain film projects here and there. And later on, we're going to be doing another movie. That's another English movie, which has all five of them together. I mean, four.
Yeah. It's we won't. Our next review will be another English star, or a movie with a lot of English stars in it.
Oh, four of them. Sorry,
well,
I got the wrong.
But the main lead is actually an American.
Yeah.
Won't say who or not the movie is. You have to wait for the next instalment.
Yeah. So, do you want to rate this now?
Look,
seeing as I don't have anything else to add.
It was made on a cheap budget, but I think they did good with what they had. storylines were good, blah 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 blah. Yeah, everything was good about it. The only thing I'll take off one point because the masks in the club were a little bit cheesy.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'd go to a theatrical supply place or
Yeah, the masks
a
look like
novelty store and buy a mask. Yeah.
They do make me think of the cheap and nasty masks you get for Halloween.
But they didn't have them back in those days, so someone had to make them. So I'm going to give it 9. If the masks were a bit better, I might have got a bit better than that, but I'll give it a 9.
I don't think I really cared too much because I thought that was kind of cool that they had those in the club scenes. It was pretty fun.
Anyway,
And
what are you going to grade it?
I'm going to grade it 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, so 9 and 9.5. Hey, look, it's a good fun. If you're looking for jump scares, it's not a slasher movie. Okay, it is a horror comedy.
And if you're looking for humour, which is what we all need,
there's a nice subtle humour. There's really good stuff there. But there's some seriousness in there as well.
Yeah, like in the last story, it seemed very creepy. The ending.
It was pretty creepy. Yeah.
I think that's why they added humour at the beginning. To lighten the...
lighten it and then got a bit darker and deeper and that sort of stuff,
Yeah, like when we watch Indiana Jones, where the first movie is adventurous and exciting, the second one is all dark, and then we go back to a bit of a lighter side to life, and then the fourth one, well, I'll leave that up to you.
Well, the Crystal Skull, bugger it, no.
I'll leave that
Everything's going good until it's Crystal Skull. I mean, good standalone movie, but... Indiana Jones was a serious archaeologist.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what
and
the
a
fifth
crystal
one's going to be
skull
like.
is not a serious archaeological fact. It's been proven. Shouldn't have been done. But a good standalone movie, don't get me wrong.
The fifth one, I'm not sure what they're going to go for this time around. I'm hoping for something that will improve on the story. Yeah,
somewhat, Anyway, I'm going to call Chris. Like I said, I don't know how good this recording is going to be, guys. The power supply and our mixing desk died, so I'm trying
So we're going to try to...
a handheld recorder for this one.
Yeah, and we may try to find a new power supply.
Well, I sent an email off just before we started recording, so...
Okay, that's about it for us tonight. So, thanks for listening to our latest podcast, everyone. So, this is Sarah Stephenson.
And Michael.
Saying we'll see you guys for our next podcast. Bye for now.
See you guys.